The title of today's story is Three Magical Friends, so let's know the story of their friendship. In the mysterious land of Eloria, there lived three friends, Lyra, Finn, and Ella, always up for some adventure. Each had a unique power. Lyra could control water and clouds, Finn could talk to animals, and Ella had the ability to see the future and walk on air. Lyra could make it rain whenever she wanted, while Finn could understand and talk to any creature. Actually, the people of the village where the three of them lived did not like their magic, so the villagers decided they will have to leave this place. The queen there advised, remember, your powers are special. If you stick together, you can face any challenge. Obeying the advice of the queen and the villagers, they left from there. As they continued their journey, the queen's advice continued to echo in their mind. Soon they meet a wise old sage named Gandor. Gandor taught them many things. How to fight, survive, and even cook. You need to know everything to survive, Gandor said, clanging the pots and pans to signal that dinner was ready. With Gandor's guidance and their determination, Lyra, Finn, and Ella become skilled warriors with kind heart. One day they gathered in the magical forest of Astralwood planning to find the legendary magical key. It was said that the key opened the door to a hidden realm filled with immense power. We need to find a little girl in the southern village, Ella said. She has a map leading to the key. Finn suggested. We could talk to the animals in the forest and ask them for directions. Finn talked to the animals and learned the way. Thank you for your help, Ella said to the animals who had guided them here. They started searching for a little girl who had the magic key map. They reached the southern village of the forest. What happened here? Lyra asked, looking at the destruction. Look over there, Ella pointed out. A terrible dragon was flying in the sky. Quick, hide behind those bushes, Finn whispered. They could barely hear, but it was clear that something or the other had destroyed the village. We need to find out what's going on, Ella insisted. There's only one way. To find out the whole story, we have to bring down the dragon somehow, said Ella. Yes, but how? Finn asked. Using her powers, Lyra summons clouds and gathers vegetables to create a distraction. Ella chased the dragon and threw it to the ground. This dragon needs to learn a lesson, Ella said sternly. But Finn listened carefully to the dragon. The dragon reveals that Frederick, a powerful wizard, has been terrorizing the forest and nearby villages for centuries. He also wants that magical key so that he can rule the whole world. Once the three friends had caught him, but he disappeared. The little girl with the map was the dragon's friend. When he came to meet her, he saw that the village had been destroyed and the girl was missing. The search for the magic key has just become more interesting, Finn said. But why does the magician need a key? Ella was surprised. The magical key, the dragon explained, has immense power and can open doors to otherworldly dimensions. You must stay where you are, the dragon warned. Opening up other dimensions could upset the balance of this world. We must stop the wizard and get the key back, Lyra announced. The dragon reveals the magical key is hidden under the rainbow at the top of the Everwhite Mountains. The Everwhite Mountain is the tallest mountain in the world, Ella said. I'm sure the dragon will take us there, Ella said. He has to save his friend. Will you take us to the mountain, Spark? They asked the dragon. Yes, I will, Spark nodded in agreement. The journey to the Everwhite Mountains was full of challenges, but they persevered. Lyra said while observing the weather, we need both rain and sunlight to make rainbows. Finn said, but the clouds are blocking the sun. I will remove the clouds, said Lyra. Lyra used her powers to push the clouds away and soon, a rainbow appeared. They reached the summit and found the magical key glowing. As soon as they find the key, Frederick appears. He had kept the little girl captive with him. Lyra understood everything. You destroyed the village and hatched this evil plan to bring us here? Lyra asked angrily. That was the only way to get the key, the magician said, laughing. We will not let you succeed in your trick, Frederick, shouted the three. Finn slyly took the key. There were animal figures on the key. Using the key, she created a magical dimension. With their combined powers, they battled the wizard and trapped him in another dimension. We won't let you do any more harm, Ella said firmly. The magician disappeared, leaving the magic key with them. Ella and Lyra asked Finn, how did you do it, Finn? I simply touched the key and wished that the wizard would be banished, Finn explained. Realizing their full potential, the friends embrace each other and free the little girl. Spark, let's return to the village, Lyra suggested. Spark takes them all back, and the villagers thank him for his help. We will always be here whenever you need us, Finn promised Spark. Upon his return, he told everything to Gandor. Now is the time to learn more about your powers, said Gandor. And so the three friends happily listened to the stories of their past, and were excited for the adventures to come.
The title of today's story is The Princess and the Faithful Knight, so let's start the story. Once upon a time in the kingdom of Evergreen, there lived a beautiful princess named Serafina. She was celebrated far and wide for her grace and kindness, qualities that matched her breathtaking beauty. Raised with the wisdom to be a fair and just ruler, Princess Serafina was cherished by her people. One day, a prince named Alexander came to the grand palace of Evergreen. He introduced himself as the prince of a neighboring kingdom. Prince Alexander and Princess Serafina soon became attached to each other. While they were strolling through the palace gardens, talking to each other, Prince Alexander led Princess Serafina to a quiet meadow at the edge of the enchanted forest. Under the shade of ancient trees, Prince Alexander looked into her eyes and spoke softly. "If your love for me is true, my dear Serafina, then the rarest flower, the scarlet rose, which grows only in the darkest corners of the forest. It blooms, find it and bring it to me." At Prince Alexander's persuasion, the princess agrees to go into the forest, and Princess Serafina sets out on a quest to find the elusive scarlet rose. After exploring the depths of the forest, the princess finally found a beautiful shining red rose. Its red petals were shining like rubies. With trembling hands, Princess Serafina moved forward to pluck the flowers. Yet, as soon as her fingers touched its velvety petals, the fragrance of the flower overcame the princess. She fell into a deep sleep, her hand still holding the red rose. The prince was watching all this hiding behind the tree. In reality, there was no prince. He was an impersonator thief living in this forest. In the silence of the forest, he took advantage of her weakness and greedily took away all the precious ornaments that adorned her body. The cold-blooded Alexander cruelly abandoned the princess in the middle of the forest. At the palace of the Evergreen, days turned into anxious weeks as King Ferdinand and his advisors despaired over the disappearance of their beloved princess. Search parties searched every corner of the kingdom, but Princess Serafina and Prince Alexander were nowhere to be found. Months passed, and one day a woodcutter went into the forest to cut wood. While cutting wood, he found the princess fast asleep under a spell. With great tenderness, he led the princess back to the palace, where news of his return spread like wildfire. In the palace hall, amidst tears of relief and joy, Rajvedya examined the scarlet rose still held in her hand. He told that its charming flower had cast a spell on her, due to which she became unconscious, but she was not harmed. Rajvedya told King Ferdinand that the princess would wake up from her deep sleep when a true prince arrived. Worried about this, the king announced to all the surrounding kingdoms that whoever woke the princess from her deep sleep would marry her and be made the heir to the kingdom. Word about the princess sleeping in the palace spread throughout the region, and soon princes and nobles from neighboring kingdoms arrived there, each hoping to awaken her with their love and win her hand in marriage. Day after day, they remained awake by her bedside, waiting for the princess to wake up. Yet, as weeks turned into months, most people succumbed to fatigue and despair and left the palace with heavy hearts and unfulfilled dreams. However, among them was a steadfast knight named Sir Gareth, whose loyalty and love knew no bounds. He kept an eye on the sleeping princess day and night and waited for her to wake up. His faith was unwavering even when others faltered. Then, one morning in the faint glow of dawn, Princess Serafina woke from her deep sleep. Her eyes opened wide to find Sir Gareth kneeling beside her, his eyes full of unexpressed love and relief. With gratitude and joy, Sir Gareth told the princess the whole story. Touched by his love and in tears, Princess Serafina embraces Sir Gareth, knowing that she has found her true love. King Ferdinand, overjoyed by his daughter's awakening, announced a grand celebration throughout the kingdom. In a ceremony filled with music and frolic, Princess Serafina and Sir Gareth are married. King Ferdinand made Sir Gareth his successor. And so, amidst the cheers of their subjects and the blessings of the kingdom, Princess Serafina and Sir Gareth lived happily ever after. The title of today's story is The Bear Princess. So let's start the story. Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there lived a beautiful princess named Freya. She was kind, brave, and loved by everyone in the kingdom. Princess Freya had a special bond with nature and spent her days wandering through the enchanted forest that surrounded her castle. One day, while exploring the deepest part of the forest, Princess Freya stumbled upon a hidden glade. In the center of the glade stood an ancient tree with a shimmering silver bark. As she approached the tree, she noticed a small door at its base. Curiosity piqued, Freya opened the door and found a sparkling amulet hanging from a branch inside. Without thinking, Freya reached out and touched the amulet. Suddenly, a bright light surrounded her, and she felt herself being pulled into a magical vortex. When the light faded, she found herself transformed into a bear. Her soft white human body was now transformed into a bear. Shocked and frightened, Freya ran through the forest searching for help. She soon encountered a group of fairies who lived in the forest. These fairies were known as the guardians of the glade, and they were the keepers of the ancient magic that protected the kingdom. One of the fairies, named Flora, recognized the bear as Princess Freya. "Oh no," Flora exclaimed, "you've touched the amulet of transformation. It is cursed by the wicked sorceress Glinda, who was banished from this land long ago. The only way to break the curse is to find the sorceress and make her reverse the spell." "But where can I find Glinda?" Freya asked, her voice now a deep growl. "She lives in the Forbidden Mountains beyond the edge of the kingdom," Flora explained. "It is a dangerous journey, but we will help you. We fairies will guide you through the forest, and you will need the help of a brave heart to confront Glinda." Determined to break the curse, Freya set off on her journey with the fairies by her side. As they traveled, they encountered many obstacles. A raging river that could only be crossed with the help of the water fairy, a treacherous maze that was solved with the wisdom of the earth fairy, and a dark forest filled with shadows, where the light fairy's glow guided them to safety. After days of traveling, they finally reached the Forbidden Mountains. The air was cold, and the peaks were covered in ice and snow. As they climbed higher, the path became steeper and more perilous. But Freya's determination never wavered. She was determined to break the curse and return to her true form. At the top of the mountain, they found Glinda's lair, a dark, eerie cave filled with the echoes of ancient spells. Freya entered the cave, her heart pounding with the fairies close behind her. Inside, Glinda was waiting. The sorceress had long, flowing black hair and eyes that glowed like embers. She smiled wickedly when she saw the bear. "So, the little princess has come to face me," she sneered. "I'm here to break the curse," Freya growled. "You must reverse the spell and turn me back into a princess." Glinda laughed. "And why should I do that? The curse is unbreakable unless a true act of bravery and love is performed." Freya took a deep breath. "I will do whatever it takes to prove my bravery. Just tell me what I must do." Glinda's eyes gleamed with malice. "Very well. There is a fierce dragon that guards the fire crystal in the depths of this mountain. The fire crystal holds the power to break any curse, but only if you can retrieve it and bring it to me." Without hesitation, Freya agreed. She and the fairies descended into the dark tunnels of the mountain, where they soon found the dragon's lair. The dragon was enormous, with scales that glowed like molten lava and fiery breath that could melt stone. Freya knew she couldn't defeat the dragon with force, so she used her wit. She noticed that the dragon's lair was filled with gold and jewels, but the dragon seemed lonely, guarding its treasure with no one to share it with. The bear princess approached the dragon with kindness, offering to be its friend if it would allow her to take the fire crystal. The dragon, touched by Freya's offer, agreed. It allowed her to take the fire crystal, and in return, Freya promised to visit the dragon and bring it stories from the outside world. With the fire crystal in hand, Freya and the fairies returned to Glinda's cave. Glinda was shocked when she saw that Freya had succeeded. "You have shown bravery and kindness," she admitted. "But there is still one final task. You must place the fire crystal in the heart of the silver tree in the enchanted glade where you found the amulet. Only then will the curse be lifted." With the fairies' help, Freya made her way back to the enchanted glade. She placed the fire crystal in the heart of the silver tree, and as she did, a burst of light filled the glade. The curse was broken, and Freya was transformed back into her true form. But something magical happened. Freya was no longer just a princess. She had gained the strength and courage of the bear, and her heart was filled with the wisdom and kindness she had shown on her journey. The fairies, now her lifelong friends, blessed her with their gifts, ensuring that she would rule her kingdom with compassion and fairness. The title of today's story is The Twin Princesses, so let's start the story. Once upon a time, in a magical kingdom called Luminara, there lived twin princesses named Aria and Luna. They were as different as night and day. Aria had golden hair that shimmered like the sun, and she loved to sing and dance. Luna, with her silvery hair that glowed like the moon, preferred to read books and explore the woods. Their parents, King Orion and Queen Celeste, ruled the kingdom with kindness and wisdom. The kingdom was full of laughter, joy, and magic. Every corner of Luminara had something enchanting: talking animals, sparkling rivers, and trees that could grant wishes. One sunny morning, the princesses were playing in the royal garden when they heard a strange sound. It was a soft, melodic hum that seemed to come from the old enchanted forest near the castle. Curiosity sparked in their hearts, and they decided to follow the sound. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the trees whispered secrets, and the flowers glowed with magical light. They soon found a beautiful sparkling lake. In the middle of the lake was a small island with a shining crystal tree. The tree was the source of the humming sound. As they approached the tree, a gentle voice echoed around them. "Welcome, Aria and Luna. I'm the guardian of the crystal tree. This tree holds the magic of Luminara. If anything happens to it, the kingdom will lose its magic." The princesses promised to protect the tree. The guardian thanked them and gave each princess a special gift. Aria received a golden locket that could heal anything it touched. Luna received a silver ring that could create light in the darkest places. Days passed, and life in Luminara was as beautiful as ever. One night, however, a dark cloud covered the sky, and a chilling wind blew through the kingdom. The magical creatures became silent and the rivers stopped sparkling. The crystal tree was in danger. Aria and Luna hurried to the lake and found the guardian weak and fading. "A dark sorcerer has cast a spell on the tree," he whispered. "Only your combined magic can save it." The princesses knew they had to act quickly. The guardian told them that they needed 2 magical items to break the sorcerer's spell: the feather of the phoenix and the tear of the mermaid. With determination, the twins set off on their adventure. First, they traveled to the Fire Mountains to find the phoenix. The journey was long and treacherous, filled with steep cliffs and lava streams. Aria used her golden locket to heal a wounded eagle, who in gratitude guided them to the phoenix's nest. The phoenix, with its fiery plumage, welcomed them and said, "If you two please me, I will give you a wing." Aria sang a soothing song, and Luna recited a wise poem. Moved by their talents and courage, the phoenix gave them a glowing feather. Finally, they ventured to the ocean of whispers to find the mermaid. They sailed through stormy seas and navigated dangerous reefs. When they reached the mermaid's grotto, they found her weeping. Luna asked the mermaid, "Why are you crying?" "My pearl necklace is lost," replied the mermaid. Aria and Luna dive into the deep waters, encountering fierce currents and sea monsters. The mermaid's necklace had fallen into a dark cave. With the help of Luna's magical ring of light, they both went into the cave. Bravely together, they found the necklace. The mermaid looked at her necklace and said, "Aria and Luna, you passed my test, and you both deserve these tears." The mermaid gave him a tear which shone like a pearl. With all 2 magical items, the twins rushed back to the crystal tree. The guardian instructed them to place the items around the tree. The feather of the phoenix and the tear of the mermaid created a powerful light, breaking the dark sorcerer's spell. The tree began to shine again, brighter than ever. The guardian regained her strength and smiled warmly. "You have saved Luminara. Your bravery and love for each other have restored the magic." From that day on, the princesses' bond grew even stronger. They realized that their differences made them powerful together. Aria's joy and Luna's wisdom combined to bring peace and happiness to the kingdom. The kingdom celebrated their courage with a grand feast. The people of Luminara danced, sang, and shared stories of the brave twin princesses. The magical creatures returned, and the rivers sparkled once more. And so, the kingdom of Luminara lived happily ever after, bathed in the everlasting light of the twin princesses' magic. The title of today's story is Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. So let's start the story. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as ebony. Her stepmother, the queen, was very jealous of Snow White's beauty. The queen owned a magical mirror, and every day she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror always replied, "You are, my queen." This made the queen very happy. But one day, when the queen asked her mirror the same question, it replied, "Snow White is the fairest of all." The queen was angry and decided to get rid of Snow White. She called a hunter and ordered him to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. "Bring me her heart as proof," she said. The hunter took Snow White into the forest, but he did not feel like killing the innocent and beautiful Snow White. "Run away and never come back," he said kindly to Snow White. Frightened and alone, Snow White ran into the forest. The hunter gives the heart of a dead deer to the queen as proof. Snow White wandered until she found a small hut. Tired, she entered the hut and found it empty but very strange. Inside the cottage, everything was tiny. There were 7 little beds, 7 little chairs, and a small table set for 7. Snow White was so tired that she lay down on the beds, falling asleep immediately. The cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs who worked in a nearby mine. When they returned home that evening, they were surprised to find Snow White asleep in their bed. "Who is this beautiful girl?" they wondered. Snow White woke up and told them her story. The dwarfs, feeling sorry for her, offered her a place to stay in exchange for helping with the housework. Snow White agreed. "I am grateful for your kindness," she said. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the queen once again asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest of them all." The queen was enraged and decided to take matters into her own hand. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went to the dwarf's cottage with a basket of poisoned apples. The queen knocked at the door, and Snow White, being kind and trusting, opened the door. "Would you like to buy an apple, dear?" the queen asked. Snow White hesitated, but the apple looked very delicious. She agreed, but as soon as she ate an apple, she immediately fell unconscious and fell on the ground. When the dwarfs returned home, they found Snow White lying lifeless on the floor. They were heartbroken and placed her in a glass coffin, unable to bear burying her. They kept watch over her day and night. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom was walking through the forest and saw the beautiful Snow White in a glass coffin. He had heard about her beauty and was infatuated with her even in death. The prince asked the dwarfs if he could take her to his palace. At first they were reluctant, but after seeing the genuine love and sorrow of the prince, they agreed. As the prince's servants were carrying Snow White, they tripped over a stone lying on the way, and a piece of the poisoned apple fell out of Snow White's throat. Snow White gasped and opened her eyes. She was alive. The prince was overjoyed and told her about his love. Snow White, grateful and touched by his kindness, agrees to marry him. The news of Snow White's revival and engagement reached the queen, who asked her mirror once again, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "Snow White, who is now a queen, is the fairest of them all." The queen was so angry that she shattered the mirror and fled the kingdom, never to be seen again. Snow White and the prince had a grand wedding. The 7 dwarfs were the guests of honor, and they danced happily. Snow White invited them to come and stay at the castle whenever they want. Snow White and the prince ruled the kingdom with kindness and wisdom, and they lived happily ever after.